Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Omar here. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Brightin 35mm F0.95 lens for the Fujifilm X-mount system. Right now I've got a 5-stop ND filter and it's stopped up to f8 because it is really bright here right now shooting in the midday sun. But the reason why I bring up these particular stats is that normally I have these stats on screen. You can see my shutter speed, but because there is no electronic connection between the lens and the camera body, you aren't going to know what f-stop you're taking photos or videos at unless you make a note yourself. As of filming today, this is a sub $200 lens, and I think I'm in focus here. I'm not entirely certain because it's a manual focus lens as well, which, you know, 35mm, about a 53mm full frame equivalent f0.9 lens, that's a pretty good value proposition. I just did a double check. I can't really see the focus peaking from here. I'll have to think of a way to check that out in the future. It's getting pretty loud here. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I won't have to stamp out too much. At this price point, it's a really fun lens and it looks really good on the Fujifilm X-T5, which is what I have it mounted on today. I'm going to take a walk around Hoboken, take a couple of photos, take a little bit of video as well. And although I'm underexposed here, once it gets dark enough, I'll actually open it up and shoot at f0.95 so you can see exactly how shallow of a depth of field you can get through video on this lens. Okay, so I did it for curiosity's sake, and again, I open it up here to f0.95 and you can see the background you were just looking at is completely blown out, despite the fact that this has a 5-stop ND filter on it. There are of course going to be some compromises and pitfalls at this price point, but ultimately I don't think anyone who's shopping around for a sub $200 lens really cares. And with that being said, the pollution's horrible today, so let's take a walk before the sun goes down, even though I don't think I'll have any problems when it comes to low light performance on this thing, and see whether or not this lens is for you. Also, full disclosure, I got this lens sent to me for free to review, but like anything else, I get to say whatever it is I want. What that means is that anyone who sends me a product for review and you are both seeing this video for the first time.
Hey everyone, Future Omar here, and we're going to take a look at this photo shoot together. So the manual focus clutch on this is really heavy, and I actually like that a lot, especially since, again, when you shoot wide open, it's f0.95. And if you take a look at the photos here, when you're shooting wide open, it is soft, but like in a good way. The same way Fuji photos have grain when you raise the ISO, like it doesn't look like digital grain, it looks like organic grain, which I think is what made them really popular. You see that effect kind of amplified. There's my little Prius. You see that effect kind of amplified with this lens. We're overlooking Manhattan in this shot here. And of course, the one little interesting item is the binocular thing that they've got going on there. Like, subject separation is really clean, and I know you can't really see it. It's not really pronounced here because it's not a super contrasty scene, but eventually you will start seeing a little bit of fringing. Usually it's green when, nope, can't see it here. Usually the fringing is green when it's something that's out of focus, and then it shifts over to magenta when it's in focus. And I think that's normally the case anyway, but just noting it here in case I forget to mention it when a photo pops up a little later. You know, pairing this with the X-T5, I think it's a really nice lens on the X-T3, and I know I had some B-roll earlier where it was mounted onto the X-T3, but with the X-T5, it still resolves just as well as it does on the X-T3, which is a big deal since a lot of the new Fujifilm linear motor lenses, there's that post truck, were released due to the fact that they did not resolve very well, like the older lenses didn't resolve on the high megapixel sensor, which I still question to some degree because my 16mm did really good in a portrait video when I was taking a few shots down in Baltimore with my friend Babs. I'll actually link that in the card above if you want to check out how this camera performs for portraits. And taking a shot at the sign here, you can see how the gradient of focus is, just how shallow the f0.95 is, because the top and bottom are kind of out of focus. The center wording is still legible, still a little soft when you punch in, admittedly, but it's in focus. This is Frank Sinatra. If anyone familiar with Hoboken, like the Jersey in general is big like Sinatra. And there's the fringing I was talking about. So any high contrast scene, I really have to lift the shadows on that one, and that's going to amplify the fringing. Otherwise, when it's dark, it hides it pretty well. In the shot you just saw, you see that it retains detail very well, and nothing really falls apart. It's just, it becomes, I guess it's less razor sharp when you punch in 400 or 500%, which is par for the course for pretty much anything other than the GFX. And this is the no skateboarding in Sinatra Park sign that absolutely no one listens to, because why would you even do that? And overall, the way that the colors are rendered on this lens, even wide open, typically wide open, I'm going to keep saying that because wide open is typically where you have the most issues, unless you're talking about stopping up to f/22 or f/16 on that lens and dealing with diffraction. But the colors are good, sharpness is good for what's in focus. And overall, this was a really pleasant shooting experience. It's been a while since I've slowed down and enjoyed myself. I've got another video where I shot with the X-T3 adapted to Canon lenses, and I'll link that in the card above as well.
Although today's episode is going to be primarily focused on the photo capabilities of this lens, I don't want anyone to sleep on the fact that it actually still makes for a really good video lens as well. At f/0.95, the lens practically creates its own light source, and right now I've got a 5-stop ND on, and you can see how blown out the background is right here. I'll try to touch base on the video capabilities of this as the sun begins to set in about 2 hours. We'll see how cold it gets. But at minimum, I wanted to include this video sample here, and I'm pretty sure I'm in focus. There goes a helicopter. Just so you have a frame of reference as to what a sub-$200 lens is capable of on the video front. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind is you'll see it on the outer edges of my sweater here. There is going to be a lot of fringing, purple and green fringing, especially when it's wide open. In photos, you can correct that kind of chromatic aberration pretty easily, but in video, it's going to be considerably more difficult. So when it comes to video, if you're getting paid for the job, I can't really recommend this, at least not in an uncontrolled environment. But for photo work, it's really not that big of a deal. After 10 years, no one's ever actually complained about chromatic aberration. I'm going to step out of frame, and even when it's out of focus, you'll be able to see a lot of green fringing on the drawbridge. And now let me shift the focus over a bit. And it's less pronounced. I'm going to stop it up. It doesn't really go away as you stop up the lens. I find it to be somewhat consistent throughout the entire image. And then the other thing that I want to talk about should be, let me see if I can fix the focus live here. How bad is it? Yeah, so I'm going to be pretty underexposed for this shot. And I think I'm still in focus. But the other thing I wanted to talk about is what you see right over here. There's a fair amount of flaring and ghosting that occurs with this lens, as one would really expect at something at this price point. But I personally find it to be a little refreshing because nowadays every modern lens is surgically sharp. Even factory kit lenses really don't have any character anymore. And if you're in the market for this lens, you've probably also considered adapting a film lens. I do a lot of Canon FD lenses onto my Fuji cameras. I've actually got a video that I'll link in a card above as well. But that's another factor to take into consideration here. You're getting a lens that has some character to it, and that'll help separate your photos from the perfect, almost surgically perfect photos that populate the internet nowadays.
Now over here, I decided to set up for some more video samples. I did get some earlier in the video.
You guys do what you gotta do. No, I'm just setting up for something later.
A lot of people will be using this as a video lens, I'm assuming. I know I would, unless I were in a less controlled, like if I'm in an environment like this and there's gonna be a ton of fringing and it's for something paid, I would not. But for most things, like this looks like a really clean shot considering I've got no lighting, no other equipment other than the lens and an ND filter. I stopped it down a little bit there. And ironically, the image quality lends itself better for videos than it does for photos because we're accustomed to tack sharp photos, and video is always allowed and often preferred to be softer. And it does a really good job here. You can see some of the rolling shutter on the X-T5, which is why I think in a future video I'm going to compare the 5 and the 3 to each other. But there's that fringing that you see with obviously super blown out background. So any high contrast scene you will get. In most lenses it's some fringing. On this lens it's a lot, but I'd say it's pretty comparable to the Fujifilm 56mm. back in the day that I used before they released the 50mm. But yeah, great. Like for the price, I can't complain. And you see, now we're going to this Christmas tree here. And the thing about this tree is I took my time with it. And that's something, if I had one of the fast autofocus lenses, all the Fujifilm autofocus like jokes aside, this camera, it autofocuses very well, especially after the last firmware update. But I probably wouldn't have slowed down and tried to focus in on this shot, taking a reflective photo of myself through the ornaments, or reflecting off the ornaments rather. And I think that was a fun shot. I kind of wish I took a better shot of myself and just used it as a profile picture on my website or something for a while. But that's seasonable and fun, and that's my insane camera setup that I'm shooting all of this with right now. Maybe I'll do a separate video on that if anyone's interested. Got another one. Of course, I had to get some vertical shots for TikTok and the gram. Ironically, no fringing on these shots. And another horizontal one that I dropped low to try to not cover my face, but you'll see, got it right at the seam there, so could have done a little better. But overall, it was cold. This was like a super cold day. It's really cold in Jersey right now. And I started speeding through at this point, but we finally got to some different areas, and this is Lackawanna Station. Tried to get a shot of that, lifted the shadows in post. You can read the words pretty well. The softer effect is a little more reminiscent of film photos. Took a long shot there just because like it was cold. I couldn't feel my hands at that point, and I just wanted to see what some depth looked like. When I was down in DC, I was a portrait guy. Don't really know anyone up here, so I haven't gotten a chance to network with too many people to do that. But I saw these two taking photos with an Instax camera, and it was too bright behind them, so I offered to take photos with this and send them over to them. And I think they came out pretty well. Now, walking back, I took a shot of a few things while I could still, feel my fingers. There's an improperly parked BRZ that was taped with all the holiday lights, unfortunately not on at the time. Another shot of Frankie before we rolled back to the car, and of course the random filmic seagull. And this one, like, I took some shots here, but I feel like geese are just going to be regular models for me. They've been regular models ever since I've shot any videos up in Jersey. And they always seem to break out in a random fight, which is why this clip is here. Check this out. Working on focus. Well, why is he running out of frame? And you just hear the honking all over the place. There's a lot of violence. People, like geese in Jersey, are kind of like residents in Jersey, where they're just very confrontational for absolutely no reason. There was plenty of food for everyone there. I say this as a Jersey native, by the way, so cry about it in the comments. And that little pigeon caught a stray. And you'll see them, of course, this is a test of the focus. The focus peaking makes manual focus lenses so easy to use. Oh yeah, I was having a hard time trying to focus.
I'm trying to set focus. Can you stand there for 1 second? Right there.
Watching this, bro? Appreciate you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. So that's pretty much it for today's episode. I'm going to head back and actually see what the image quality looks like, but I took a peek at a couple of them and pixel peeped a little bit on the LCD, and it's exactly what I expected for the most part. The images, while wide open, are a little soft. You guys are good to go. But they're not soft in a way that it would... You guys are good. You guys are good. It's actually funnier when people walk through. So you're good, yeah. No. And it's actually... Thank you. The images are soft and not in a bad way. Similar to the softness that an old film camera would have For a sub $200 lens, the character is a selling point for anyone who's actually looking to pick it up. The size is also another big factor, as it's a f0.95, super bright, great for pretty much any lighting condition, and unlike the Fuji 50mm f1 or any of the other super fast prime lenses, it's not very big at all. With that being said, I'm going to get back, edit these photos, and I'll catch you guys at the next one.
So as I was heading home and stuck in a lot of traffic, I decided to take a few in-car photos, and they look great, and I forgot about the bokeh circles. So you have some cat eyes towards the edge of frame, but they're really nice and round in the center frame, and I actually really like the bokeh design, the out of focus area of these. Here's a shot of all the cars in front of me, out of focus. Scaled it back a little bit. You can see how the top of my odometer is still in focus, but it looks really good. Pardon the dirty windshield. I haven't washed my car in a couple of weeks. But the spheres are really nice. I just really like the bokeh on this, and it's a quality that becomes more important in night portraits than it does in the daytime. Okay, so this is mounted onto the X-T3 right now. But what are my overall thoughts on this lens? I think for the most part, this is probably going to be one of the most fun lenses anyone will have. I didn't mention it earlier, but I did speak about how good the focus clutch was, and all metal construction. It comes with a regular cap, but I do like this metal cap that they have on top. It looks really good, like it looks like it belongs on the camera. It's got good weight to it, so that's pretty reflective of decent quality, decent build quality. Unfortunately, I don't think anything around this price point is really going to have it, but there is no weather sealing, no gasket or anything there. And I'm pretty, like, I've recently softened up a little bit on only having weather sealed lenses, like this Sigma that I'm shooting on now. It's not a weather sealed lens. But I wouldn't mind paying a little more. If they had a weather sealed variant for like 50 to 100 bucks more, that would actually be the one that I would get. Just because I like keeping things in the bag. Don't get me wrong, it'll tolerate like some drizzling, but if you're an outdoorsy person, you're gonna have to keep this in a bag just in case you get caught in the downpour and you don't have a water repellent bag. Beyond that, I think if you pick up this lens, you'll have a lot of fun with it. Something that's like, not super annoying, but kind of like, I wonder why they did it this way. The infinity focus isn't all the way at the end, it's slightly before. So if you're doing like street photography or something, you just have to just rack the focus, thinking you're gonna get everything in focus. That's not the case. You do have to stay in the infinity line. Let me see if you can see that. Yeah, so you have to stay where the infinity symbol is, which if you have focus peaking turn on, which you absolutely should if you're mounting this onto any Fujifilm camera nowadays, you'll be able to see that on the viewfinder or the LCD or whatever. That has to be a mechanic of lens development thing. I don't know how any of these are actually made, because it is something that I see on a lot of lenses, and I don't know why. Like, just put a stopper or something right before, right where you get there, and I feel like that solved the problem. That's a really minor complaint. That's me nitpicking, considering the price of this lens. As of right now, we haven't had any Trump tariffs kick in or anything, and the lens is under $200 USD. I'll have a link in the description below where you can buy from them directly, or you can buy from Amazon if that's any easier. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm debating right now, I'm going to be shooting my What's in My Bag 2025 video pretty soon. I'm debating on keeping this in there, because I really, really do like the fact that I was able to slow down and actually enjoy taking photos for a change, which something that a lot of us justify buying film cameras for is so that we slow down and everything. I feel like having a really decent manual focus lens on a very capable body like the X-T3 or the X-T5, whatever, that'll get the job done without all the development costs. That being said, I've got a ton of videos coming up. If there's anything you want to see, let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you at the next one.